the chat before we start? Yala is around, study room is around. Who else? Young Pei is around. Where are the two? By the way, what happened? Clean Cooking and Happy Donors. What happened to Happy Donors? I don't see them in the session. Are they okay? Or maybe I'm mistaken. I don't see most of them in the sessions. Clean Cooking and Happy Donors are missing. Oh, Olive usually Jones. Okay, okay. Okay, I'm just going to do just a recap of what's happening with the previous task. Then we can have our guest for today. Okay, so I had some of the submissions. Most of it is great work that you guys are doing, but there are some questions that are obvious, and I don't know, most of you are just misfiring them. For example, Oscar and the team, question number 2 is, which segments deserve more attention? Very straightforward question. Which customer segments deserve more attention? And then you said customer switching costs, whereby they could not easily join. That's not a customer segment. Then you say customer pains. I mean, the question is which customer segments deserve attention. You know? There's also a question around which I think most of you, what is the state of capital markets? How easy is it to obtain funding in your particular market? Is seed capital, venture market, or credit available? How costly is it to procure funds? I mean, it's also a straightforward question. How is the capital markets? How easy is it to access capital within your market? The answer begins with it's hard or it's easy right now to access capital. We've seen opportunities like banks. We're currently maybe seeing a rise of venture capitalist firms. Loans are available, or loans are hard to get, or grants are now available to particular kind of funding, or so on and so forth. It's a straightforward question. What is the state of capital markets? The state of capital markets is good or bad? It's good because we're currently seeing point A, B, C, D happening. So then there's I think also, Oscar, there's somewhere where I think there was a question around okay, what is the state of capital markets? Then describe how good is the public infrastructure. Then the key trends. I think you were able to list emerging trends very well there. The demographics were okay. The societal increased use of technologies, soft. Okay, so then we came to which shift in culture or society values might affect your business. I think that's not the one. something I saw somewhere that I wanted to talk about. Unfortunately, I can't see it. But yes, guys, the questions are straightforward. Who are the key players? You list the key players, and then you explain more. What products or services? Okay, that's okay. I think you overthinking of what these questions are. Who are the dominant players? Okay, just look into some of those questions are straightforward. I think then I had Gina. I think Gina is from Clean Cooking. You have the answers, but you're just putting pointers. You're not explaining anything. So there is need for more explanation on some of those. Yeah, I think Geoffrey is from, I think, which team was that? Geoffrey was really able to elaborate. He could get the answer. For example, what are the crucial factors affecting the customer landscape? He lists them. What segments deserve more attention? He was able to list them. What are the biggest unsatisfied customer needs? He lists them. What brings customers? He lists them and explains very well. Then it went to trends, and he was able also to explain the demographics. The demographic trends are youth and teenagers that have access to either smartphones, computers, or whatever. Most of the teenagers below 18 acquired so on and so forth. A big portion of them lives in urban. Okay. Who are the dominant players in the sector? It says banks. So what are the advantages? Very secure. What are the disadvantages? It goes to circles. What are the advantages, and so on and so forth. What products or service could replace ours? It lists them. What are the key players in your industry value chain? It lists the key players. And then it says, our business model is interdependent with the key players. Each has to exist for the other to work out, you know. Straightforward answers, and just answering the questions as they are. How easy is it to obtain resources? He explains. What is the state of capital markets? I think this is one that he also misfired. I'm talking about the state of capital markets. Which ones are available? Are banks available? Are loans? Is it grants? And how easy is it to obtain them? I'm not talking about your revenue model in terms of subscription or advertising or so on and so forth. The infrastructure. Away from that, I think it's good. Okay. So today we are going to talk about branding. It's a very important topic in terms of incubation. You've been building from ideas, you've started talking to customers, we bring these business models and value proposition to life. It's time to start giving whatever we're building an image and how it will look like. So today I've been able to invite a dear friend of mine. I've worked with Albert for a couple of years. He's currently worked Era 92 Creative. I think I talked about Era 92 Creative some time back when we were doing business models. But he also is an independent consultant in terms of branding and the creative work around bringing brands to life. So today is going to take us through a session about branding. Albert, it's a pleasure to have you. I hope you'll be able to share brilliant insights as you always do. The floor is yours.
Wow. Thank you. I just had to turn the camera on so people can know person they're talking to or the my name is Herbert
But we can't hear you well.
Manzala.
We cannot hear you very well.
Help companies and organizations. Oh, sorry. Yep. I don't know. Am I audible now?
You're still a little bit low.
Okay, let me do something here real quick.
I don't know if it's the
Just-
internet. I think you'll have a video to introduce and the participants will see you. Then I think as you continue with the session, you just
Okay, hi Roger. How is it? How is it now?
yeah. I think we can hear you on my side. Guys, can you hear Albert? Just confirm in the chat.
Yeah, let me know if I'm audible enough before we continue.
But you're clear enough.
I'm clear enough. That's good. Thank you. Yeah, without wasting much time, I said I'm Herbert Wanzala. I'm a brand designer. I help businesses and organizations to achieve their goals through strategic.
But can we see your face? Then later you can switch off.
Yeah, I moved to a different position, but I think you can still see me. Yeah, I help businesses to achieve their goals through strategic design and sorry, let me just do this. Okay, without wasting much time, I'm going to dive into what we have today. I'm going to be talking about branding, and I know that branding is very big, it's wide, and we can't exhaust everything in this session that we're having here, but I'm specifically going to be talking about what we call the brand visual identity. Since I learned that you guys are running startups, so I've been working with startups for I think more than 5 years, and I've been trying to guide them through the different ways they can build their brand strategy. Roger, in case I'm not audible, you will be informing me. I'm going to present my screen and then we can continue. Can you see my screen? Roger, you can let me know if the screen is on and if everyone can view it so we can continue.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because there's a time I was, doing stuff and no one was watching and I was just on my phone, that's why I'll keep asking if everything is right. All right. Like I said, we're going to be talking about branding, but specifically about creating your brand identity, or what is referred to as the visual identity. sometimes. Branding is wide, but we're going to try to define what branding is and then to see how we can get along with a visual brand identity for our different startups. And then at the end of this session, we will have questions. So if you're unsure about the meaning of branding, don't worry. You know, branding is one of those marketing concepts that are a bit vague and can quickly become confusing even for people who have studied marketing. It is very confusing because to some people, when they hear branding, what comes to their mind is totally different from what branding is. And by the end of this session, I want us to understand this whole thing. So I'll take you through some illustration to see how we can get the difference here between branding, marketing, advertising, and all those stuff that are always confusing. So what we have here is we have someone who is selling a product, and then we have a customer on the other side. So when you come to the customer and you tell them, I have great products, what you're doing is marketing, because you looked out for them and then you told them you have great products. But then, if you kept doing that, and you always tell them you have great products every time you find them, be it on a billboard, on a TV, on a radio, and everywhere. Now that's advertising. It's you telling the customers you have great products over and over again. But what you're talking about today is this. As you can see, before you talk about your products, the customer comes to you and they're like, I understand you have great products. And that's what we call branding. Branding is a process that brings you to this point where the customer comes to you. Before you even say anything, they know that you offer good products. That's a good introduction for this whole session. So marketing and branding are just like twins. They're almost the same, but then they are a bit different. Though all companies need both of them. So marketing gets people to come in the first place, but then branding gets people to come back always. That's the easiest way we can differentiate between these two. But we're not here to talk about marketing today. We just wanted to clear that we can dive into the branding bit. So branding is not what you say it is. It is what they say it is, like we saw in the illustrations we had. It's not what you say it is. It's what your customers say it is. And then your brand is more than just a logo and color schemes, because that's what some people think branding is. When they see a logo and some colors, they're like, okay, this guy is a branding. No, but it's more than that. I'm going to see that. So I would pose a question: is this a logo or a brand? You may not answer it now, but just think about it. And by the end of the session, we should be able to answer that. So a brand is a result. This is according to Chris Do, who is the founder and CEO of The Futur. He says the brand is a result. It's a person's gut feeling about a product, about a service or a company. It's in their heads and in their hearts. And then some other guy who happens to be the founder and CEO of Amazon, that's Jeff Bezos. He said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. You know, what do people say about your service? What do people say about your product when you're not in the room? So that's the image that we're talking about here in terms of your brand. And branding is the process of shaping all this. So looking at this, we have these different letters, B, R, A, N, D. Like I told you, branding is wide. But then today we're talking about visual identity, but I'm just taking you through this to know that before you reach the identity, there's a blueprint, which is the master plan of your customer experience, understanding your customers and what they need and all that. And then there's relationship, which is your thoughts and your feelings and your psychological relationship between your business, between your product, between whatever service you're offering and your target customer. And then there's the agreement, which is a promise, which is a promise that you give to your customers. And that's something that you have to fulfill whenever you're communicating what you offer. You're always communicating your promise to your customers, and you have to be loyal to that. And there's the nature, that is to talk about your business as a person. If your business was a person, what would be their character, what would be their style, and all that? Because customers relate with your business more like a person. So if you're able to understand your business as a person, you're able to shape it, to interact, and to be able to match with the likes and preferences of your target customers. But most importantly, today we are talking about the distinctive part, which is the visual identity, the brand identity. So branding makes your business to stand out from the crowd. It is the unique identity of your business. So we want to see how do you build your visual identity, because that's what customers look at in the first place. All the other things are done in the back end. All the strategy and all the plannings are done in the back end. But what your customers see is what we call the brand visual identity. And that's what we want to talk about today. So if I'm to define branding, it's simply the process of giving a meaning to a specific organization, to a company, products, or services by creating and shaping the brand in the consumer's mind. That's the target of branding. It's creating and shaping the brand in the consumer's mind. So every time we talk about branding, we think of all these. We think of graphics, we think of customer experience, the stuff, the product itself, the logo, the packaging, the signage, the website, and all that. Yeah, which is true. But then how do we arrive to that? How do we go about all this stuff? So the brand identity, like I told you, this is what your brand looks like. This is the visual part of your brand. It's what people see out there. That is your logo, your color choices, the typography, the image, and all the other graphical elements that you put up there that people see. So if you have strong visuals, then obviously they can be persuasive to your target audience. And we're going to see how we can have strong visuals. This is an example of the brand visual identity. Like you can see clearly that in every touch point, there's consistency, there's all that. But then how do they arrive to this point? This is what we want to go through. You may not be a designer, or you may not be able to do this on your own, but it's better to get a professional or to understand what you need. And that's why I want to take you through all of this. So the first and foremost thing with branding is always the logo, which is the face of your company. So it is simply a symbol that is made up of text, shapes, and images that help us identify products and the companies that we like. So it's a graphical representation or a symbol of a company name, a trademark, abbreviations, etc. But most importantly, it is uniquely designed for ready recognition. So that means your logo, someone shouldn't take more than 5 seconds to recognize your logo. 2 seconds are good. When you look at a Nike logo, 1 second is enough for you to know, okay, this is Nike, and all the other logos that you have in mind. So there are so many types of logos. So depending on which business you're doing or what company you're running, there's always a perfect type that matches that. And if you can't do this by on the designers and professional logo designers will understand what type fits which kind of business or company. Like for example, the abstract, you can look at the Nike logo, it's abstract. It's not something that you can easily explain, but it's just the way it is. It's uniquely designed for recognition, but it's not like something you know already. And then the mascots, which are always like like people's faces, or it can be like a real life thing, like a picture of something. Mostly it's always people, like you've seen all that. Those are what we call mascots. And then the emblems are badges, obviously, which are mainly used by schools and universities, seen football teams and all that. So then there's the symbol, or what we call the pictorial, which is a real life image of something. Like if you look at Apple, you know this is an Apple. If you look at the Puma logo, you know this is a Puma, or something like that. So it is just uniquely designed. It simplifies like a real life image. And then the word mark is just the name of the company with some unique typography. For example, the Google. Then also, there's Disney and all those other types of word marks. So letter marks are different from word marks. That is, if companies have long names, they want to use abbreviations as their logo. For example, you've seen BBC, you've seen CNN, HBO, and all those. Those are letter marks, which means each letter represents a certain word. And then the combination mark, which is a combination of two. It can be a word mark and an abstract mark together, and all that. So if you're not able to choose which one is perfect for your company, let a professional do it for you. But those are the different types of logos, because it's very important for your company. This is what people are going to be seeing in the first place. And most importantly, we also have the colors, because you can get the logo right and then get the colors wrong. So branding colors and logo colors strategically have serious impact on how your brand is perceived by your audience, because every color you see out there carries a meaning, carries a message with it. So you won't just choose a color because it's your favorite color, or because it's your favorite football team or something like that. No, you have to look into what you're offering and then get to understand that the colors also communicate. Like we've seen here, whenever red is used, it's used mainly for passion, excitement, love, health, and exciting stuff. Like Coca-Cola, for example, YouTube and all that, they use red. And then we have orange for high energy. Orange also is it's friendly, playful, warm, adventure, and then good health. And then we have yellow for hope, sunshine, happiness, and also affordability. Yeah, like McDonald's. Then green is for freshness, for growth, it's for money, nature, and then life. It's used, you've seen it with banks and stuff, and also blue. Banks use blue so much. It's for confidence, trustworthy, inspiration, freedom, stability, and refreshing. And then black is mainly for wealth, modern, power, classic, and elegance. You've seen companies like Gucci, companies like Nike, Adidas, even Apple itself. They always go for black. So sometimes you may find it hard to choose colors that have already been used by other companies, but then they're what we call color codes. So you can't be limited because the color is being used by some other company. You can always choose it, but then with different color codes. Did you know that Google and Microsoft have the same colors? All the same colors, but different colors. Is different from Microsoft's blue. Their green is different, the yellow and the red, but it's the same color palette here. So after understanding what the colors mean and then attaching them to what you do and what your company does, you can be able to get it right to communicate to your customers. Typography is the other thing. You won't just choose a typeface because they also speak, they carry a certain vibe. There are millions and millions of typefaces. We have what we call the font families and all that, but they all come from four ancestors. The four major types, which are the serif, the sans serif, the script, and the display. So the serifs are used mainly with fashion, with banks and stuff like that, so elegant stuff. So the serifs are those fonts with tails. If you've seen different fonts with tails, I'll mention one which is common and everyone knows that. That's Times New Roman kind of style with these tails, as you can see here. The sans serif is just straight, like you can see, the corners and the edges are just straight. They have no tails. And then the script is a hand or a brush font. And there are several of those. Like I said, these are just like the ancestors and they have families and clans in there. The display is the one that comes in a 3D form and then it's kind of designed and stylish, like you see here. So the kind of font you choose also carries a certain energy to your customers. Because look at this, if you have the same kind of text communicated in different typefaces. An example is this word here, I will always find you. In the first place, it looks like, okay, it's cool. This person will always find me, and you want that person to find you. But in the second scenario, I don't think you want that person to find you because the font speaks a different language in this case. So fonts matter a lot. And then you can see even on the right-hand side, I'll be waiting for you. And then I'll be waiting for you. Which one would you choose to wait for? Or to wait for you? So don't just choose your business. The other thing is the imagery. Imagery is used to make an instant connection with your customer. Like when someone looks at this, it connects like with Nike and any other sports company that you know of. So if you're using an image that is not connecting with your target audience, then there will be an issue. So even if you get all the others right, still there will be confusion in your communication when it comes to imagery, and it's what people see in the first place. So for you to have all this put together and doing it consistently, that's when we can arrive at this destination that we call a brand. You know, starting from your logo to your business card, your letterheads, your proposals, your website, the blogs, newsletters, your emails, signatures, social media, your word of mouth, your presentation, uniforms, customer services, your advertising on all platforms, and the packaging of your products and all that. If they are all consistently communicated, then that's when you arrive at what we call a brand. But it's a process, like we said. So in conclusion, I would say a product is what you sell. A brand is the perceived image of the product that you sell. And branding is strategy to create that image. Thank you so much. Before we dive into the questions, just a few things that you have to avoid when building your brand identity. Avoid them like you've seen, or maybe you don't know this French company called PS. CHIT. It's a cold drink company that's working well in France, but then when they wanted to extend to new customers in English-speaking countries like England, US, and other countries, there was a problem. Why? Because of unfortunate naming. So before you choose a name, you need to understand how it's going to sound to the different customers you're targeting. Not just to the customers you have now, but even those that you hope to extend to. So they got it right at first, but then they couldn't grow. They had to change because their names sounded like some fecal matter when you speak it in English countries. Then the other one is the laughable logos. You know, this is some, I won't talk much about it, but I don't know. People could laugh about this logo a lot until the company had to change it. The company had to rebrand. But then in the first place, they had a great idea of a building and probably some circle behind it, but people were making fun of it. So they had to change it. And many companies have gone through this. Like Uber have changed their logo like this because of the same issues. Then there is color confusion. Like I told you, color speaks much about what you do and everything about your company. So these are brands that we know very well, and looking at the colors we can see here, it's a bit disturbing, you know, to see McDonald's in a blue and Coca-Cola in that funny color. So that tells you how much color adds to any company. So you should also avoid that kind of confusion because it disturbs your audience. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Herbert Wanzala. I'm brand designer, helping companies and organizations to stand out and achieve their goals through strategic design. Thank you so much. And I'm from Uganda. So in case of any questions, I think this would be the right time. Roger.
Thank you so much, Albert. This is
Yeah.
amazing. This is brilliant. Let me see if we have some questions from the participants. And then I think I'm going to share one of the case study, one of the work that you did. But let's first have some questions, and then I can share something as you're still on the call for a few minutes.
Okay.
Guys, let's have some questions. While Albert is here, we have him for a few minutes before he leaves.
Let me turn on my camera. So any questions from where we started from, or everything is clear? And I think Roger will be sharing.
Guys, any questions? James, Olive, Edgar, Oscar, do you guys have any questions? Do we still have Albert on the call? Yes, he's on. Oscar, you're saying there's no sound, you cannot hear anyone?
Oh, now we can hear. Before weren't hearing.
Okay, guys, some questions. This is a very, very important task that you're going to work on, and we're not going to have Albert on this call again. So I need you to ask everything. Kelly, you have a question? Okay, Lucky, I see your hands up. Please go ahead, ask.
Good morning. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. It was really great. I liked the color part, like how colors represent different themes. My question is again on the colors. How can we brand them? Like let's say like a yellow and a red, or like a blue and a black. What are the guidelines in branding those colors together? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lucky. Albert, have you got the question?
Sorry, I'm not plugged in, so I can be on it. Hello.
But did you get the question? I think we.
Hmm. So if there are no questions, we can assume everything is
But
clear.
there was a question. Lucky was asking. Lucky, can you repeat the question? I think Herbert did get the question.
Okay. I was asking, like, what are the guidelines when you're blending the... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I was asking the guidelines when you're blending the colors, because you showed us different colors like blues, the reds, what they each represent or what they each communicate. So what are the guidelines when you want to blend them? Like a blue and a black, or like a blue and a red, or like a black and yellow. Yeah, something like that.
Oh, you mean like matching two
Yes,
different colors for your
yes.
brand? You may not be able to, understand how to do everything that we've gone through here. But like I said, you need to be guided by someone in that field, like need to be guided by a professional designer to pull out that. Because on your own, you may pull out colors and then you may think they're right, but then they may fail to blend. So right now I can't tell you this and that, but then depending on your business, choose one color that can explain what you do. For you to get a complementary color, it takes a design eye to see that. So there's no like basic formula of saying, okay, this and that, this and that. But there are colors that we blend. But there are so many ways of doing that. When you're doing your research, you can look at different companies and see how they blend different colors and all that. But like I said, it takes a design eye to see that it's not just plain. So Lucky, it's, your question is not answered just by this color or the other color, but color is also another wide thing to explore. So I would recommend that if you're going to do serious branding, it's always good to involve or to trust a professional designer to do that for you. Because if you do it yourself, you may miss out on some facts about all this, be it a logo, be it all the things. Unless you have knowledge of it, you can do it yourself. Yeah, but then color is also something wide. If we talk about color, it's too wide also. Yeah, but if you have an idea of a color that you want, then always have a color to blend with it. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Lucky.
I have, thank you.
Yeah. I know so you expect is okay, this color would match with this one, and then the other one would match with the other one. That's the answer you expected, not so?
Yeah, I somehow thought so, but then the explanation has made it a bit more clear. Now I understand it better.
Yeah, so it's also a critical part of the whole branding process, because if you get it wrong, it will mess up all the other things that you got right in the first place. You know, and I see Oscar here saying the MTN, the new MTN logo is fire. Yeah, that's true. It's cool. I love it. Fire, Oscar. Do we have any other question?
We have another question in the chat. What is the maximum characters shall a brand name have? I think is asking the maximum number of characters for a brand name.
Maximum number of characters. Maximally, anyway, it depends, because you know, if it's an organization, if it's an NGO, if it's a business. But one thing you should have in mind is that it should be memorable. Like it should be easily memorable. So if you make it too long and then too complicated, it will be hard for people to memorize it. But then it depends on the type of business or the product, and then how do you want, people to appreciate people to connect with your company or your business. How do you want them to call you? That's why I say you should look at your business like just imagine your friend who has a very long name. Do you always call them by that long name, or just find your cutting it short? So it's always good to keep your name, the name of your business, short by any person from, any part of the Blue Marble planet. That's also something that is tool that you can explore. It's so wide also. Like I told you, branding is wide. It is also another thing that you need to brainstorm and do all that kind of stuff. There's a process to it. So everything that I've touched here has a lot of processes down below it. So naming also has that process, but just understand that it has to be short, it has to be easily pronounced by anyone at any age, be it a 5-year-old kid or your grandparent. Or Jara, hopefully I've answered your question. Is there any other question, any other thing that we need to clarify, maybe from the presentation we had, or maybe what we didn't talk about, but then you wish to ask something about it? Yeah, so Geoffrey, there's a question from Geoffrey. Geoffrey is asking what defines a successful logo. For a logo to be successful, there are so many things, but majorly there are like 5 things you need to consider. The first thing is it has to be simple. It has to be simple because you want people to recognize it in the first 1-2 seconds. You don't want people to sit on your logo like mathematics, if you know something like that. It has to be simple. It has to be memorable. Like when someone looks at it for 2 seconds and they walk away, they should be able to memorize it. They should be able to remember how it looks after looking at for those 2 seconds. And then the logo doesn't have to explain what your business does. It doesn't have to, you don't have all those illustrations of how your business is and what you do and everything. No, a logo just for identification of your business, not for explaining a bill. You know, one time I was on a logo for some client, and then they wanted an illustration of what they do. They wanted a man, their logo, holding some pipes, showing exactly what their business does. They want a man holding the pipe and then moving it, and then there's a car passing by and all that. So a logo doesn't have to explain everything. It's not like a poster. Yeah, so the logo is for identification. So those are the most important things, and then it has to be scalable. It can be placed on a very tiny item, and then on a very huge billboard and stays the same, then there is a problem. So your logo has to look the same, either it is very tiny or very big. So it has to be scalable. And so much more. I say, if I start talking about logos, we can be here the whole day. But yeah, what are the main things that you consider? You know, it doesn't have to explain. Apples have nothing to do with the computer that you see Apple having being the logo company which does computers. So they don't have to explain. But again, like I showed you the different types of logos. So a professional logo designer will know which type suits your company and what you do. Yeah, I think, Geoffrey, that was for you. Any question? Unless there's any other question. If there's no other question, I think we can stop here.
Right. Thank you so much, Albert. I think before you leave, I just wanted to use like 1 or 2 minutes to just share something we worked on with you some time back as an example, as like a case study. So this is critical mass. I don't know how, but when did we work on critical mass? I think it's like, I don't know how many years back. So from Abbott's session, the goal is for us to develop what we call a brand master guide. So each company has to have a brand master guide. Literally, like, what are the key things that define our brand, and how do we work with those things, you know? So I'm just going to give you a case study. This was about 2 years, 2 years back. So the company is called Critical Mass. It's a cycling kind of community. So that's their logo. So the brand master guide consists of what we call the brand substance, which includes our purpose, which looks at, we believe in something bigger than ourselves. That's like the purpose, the vision, mission, the values of the company. Then it has the second component, which is called our human brand persona, which describes the different customer segments you have. And then it goes on and looks at the brand positioning, which is how are you different? What is your core message framework, which is also another component. So you describe who you serve in terms of age, demographics, so on and so forth. What we offer to them, of course. Then you go and break down your services. Then you go ahead and talk about the benefits of your offer. Then you look at your tagline, hook, and introduction. So what's your tagline? Some of these things Abbott has not been able to talk about them because of time, but we have some of these materials and we're just going to guide you on how you can work with them. Looks at the hook, intro. Then lastly, the brand style guide, which looks at the logo. I think the brand style guide is also like the brand identity. Abbott can clarify on that. The logos, its variations, the different color palettes.
What we've been talking about, all of it put together.
Yes, the typography, type of font you're choosing, the visual identity, which looks at how your business cards will look like, letterhead, so on and so forth. And then I think some of the branding in your office, merchandise, so on and so forth. And then of course, it concludes with the inspiration of where the logo comes from and closes it with the logo. So this is what we want to achieve from this session, from what he has been talking about. So the goal is for us to be able to have a full brand master guide. Okay, so today's tasks are going to look at how you can develop the full brand master guide. Yeah, that's it. This work was done by Abbott from everything you're saying. So I just wanted to share something as his own to just re-emphasize what he has been talking about. Abbott, do you have something to add on this?
I don't think. Okay. I have like a million.
But we can't hear you.
I think our time is fast. I think that's enough for now, because this session could go up to, even if I'm talking about all the other things, but we're able to point out the major things in here when it comes to brand identity. I didn't go into the master guide, but I think when we were on the other slide where I showed you the brand, the BRAND, I was just going through all that, but that is the process that helps us achieve this brand master guide that we see here.
Okay.
Maybe I can use some brand guide for the visual brand guide. It will permit me with
All right. I think I was not able to hear you most of the time, Albert. I don't know. I think the network is not very good, either mine or yours.
and hear what I say.
Okay. Thank you so much, Albert. Thank you for the time and for always coming in when we call you. I hope the participants have learned something. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Roger.
Yes, Albert?
Can I use just 1 minute? 1 minute to go through. Can I use just like 1 minute to go through this document that shows
the one that I shared?
Guidelines that I'm going through. No, there's one I just want to share here.
Okay, okay.
And, we can call it today. I don't know if you can all see my screen. Yeah, let me know if you can see the screen. Just want. Roger.
Yes, we can see the screen.
You can see the screen, eh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so this is just some of the company. This is the official brand guidelines, the logo and different variations, the typography, different fonts, the colors, and the primary colors and secondary colors, full palette, and then the elements that are used in every touch point, the design elements, and then the shapes here, and documents, like you can see the template from the other templates. The stationery, that's the business cards, the letterhead, the envelope, and all that. And then display stands, that's the roll-up banners, billboards, and all that kind of stuff. But then you can see the consistency which comes with every touch point, all the documents, the reports, and all that. So that's the process. PowerPoint, all different things that you can see. So the ID cards, to the uniforms, the banners, all our banners. So yeah, so that's basically how the visual brand guide would look after the whole process. Thank you so much. Roger, back to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Albert. A brilliant presentation from Fields of Life. It's an upgrade from what I showcased of critical mass. I think this is a bit a newer version and looks really colorful and brilliant. Yeah, that's it, guys, from Albert. Unless you have a question, just say thank you so much, Albert. We will continue with this session. I will share a few tasks with the participants. But yeah, we're really grateful for having you.
Someone is asking that I share the slides, so I'm going to share it with Roger, and Roger will be able to share with everyone.
Right, we'll share the slides, recordings, and everything, okay?
All right, yes, thank you so much. And a good time.
Right. Right, guys. So this brings us to the end of the session. But as we go to the end of the session, you guys know we always have to have a task. So our task going forward is we need to come up with the information. So what is going to happen is that I'm going to give you a task, and then this task you'll provide information. And when you provide that information, the team from Ubunifu will start designing your brand master guide. They will start looking at your logo, icon, and so on and so forth. So the goal is that I think actually the third output of the entire incubation first is to design your value proposition, design your business model, go out and test and validate it. The next thing is to build your brand identity and later build a prototype. So those are like the four major things that we need to look at in this incubation. So today's task is a bit, it's going to be a little bit tough, but yeah, I think I'll also share this in the, I'll share this in the classroom right after this session. So we'll start with the brand purpose. So the first task is, what is your brand vision? So what is your long-term goal? You'll be able to give that to us. What is your brand mission? What are you committed to be doing always? What are your brand values? What do you actually stand for? Then the next thing we'll look at what we call the brand human persona, or who is your brand human persona? So describe your different customer segments. So the other one will be about the brand positioning. What is your brand value statement? A statement that describes your offering for all your customers. What is your brand hook? What is your brand intro hook, and why you're different? Describe how your brand stands out. Okay. Then lastly, we're going to look at the brand identity. What are your brand identity elements? Describe what you wish your logo or icon to look like, the colors and the fonts you would want. So this will be like the task. I made change it a little bit, but I'll share it in the group right after this session. But what I want you guys to know is that you have to have a brand master guide that looks like this, or what Albert has been able to share. We're going to begin with your purpose. We believe in something bigger than ourselves. So what is the purpose of the organization? The second thing is we're going to look at your vision. Our vision is bright. Why? Because that's what we aim to achieve. Then our mission, we are committed to. Our values, how we do business shapes our brand. So that's what they have as critical mass. Then our brand human persona, the different customer segments and their age, their demographics. Then the positioning, why we are different. We're building a community that blah, 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 blah. Then you will go on and start to look at your core message framework. So we serve who you serve, you'll name them, what we offer them. Then your core message, of course, what you offer to them is under the core message framework. Benefits from your offer. Then you'll talk about your tagline, hook, and intro. The tagline, you can have more than 2 taglines. They can keep changing. Your hook, we advocate for that, and that. Introduction, how you'll be able to introduce your company time after time. Then later you can tell us how you want your logo, what is those logo icons you have, or how you want your image to look like. Then the designers can transform that and make something brilliant like that. Then the variations, this will be done by the designers. Color palettes, you can give us different color palettes that you want for your brand. Then yeah, these other things. You can also give us which kind of font you wish. Then if that information is collected, the designer will make the final thing, the icon, how the final logo will look like, how the colors will be working together, and that's it. And yeah, so that's the task for today. Do you guys have a question? I'm going to share a critical mass brand master guide in the classroom. I'm also going to share the tasks, and then we will start working on it. There's something that I also, maybe it's a template we use always to develop a brand. I just don't know if it will be simple for you guys to use it, or it will be a little bit complex. I'm still contemplating to see if I should share it with you guys. So it starts with all the elements we're talking about. So your brand name and hooks. So how you develop the hook is you look at the desire and the pain. And then from that, you can be able to come up with a statement. Then it looks at the pitch. Then later you can have an output. I just don't know if this is difficult for you guys or it's not. So if it's a little bit difficult, we can decide not to use these templates. But it's some of the templates we use in developing the brand. So who you helping? What are you helping them with? What emotion? How could this? I just don't know if this is complex. I'll share it with you guys, and then if you feel you can work with them, you let me know. If you need an explanation, I could guide on this. But basically they help. But if you look at what critical If you look at what critical mass, is, and you're just using that as a guide, you can be able to come up with something simpler. If you feel the templates are a little bit complex for you. Okay. So today you'll give me about an hour. I put together the tasks, and then I can share everything in the classroom, so you guys can check at around an hour from now to access everything. So that's it for today. Do you have any questions? Anything you want me to elaborate on? Olive, you have something to say? Please go ahead.
Yes, I do. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah, sure you are.
I wanted to inquire, I joined a bit late when you were presenting the work from Young Pesa, I think. So I wanted to inquire, were we supposed to do it in that exact format, or it's okay because ours we incorporated it in the business model canvas exactly, like directly?
Which kind of format? You mean the
Like
one I shared from other team members?
Yeah, like the one you shared where you are like, if it's a question and the answer is written just below it.
Yeah, if that format works for you, then it's better. I think that's how you are supposed to answer it. The business model canvas was supposed to be a second submission, but the first one was supposed to be the business model environment. I think I gave a very good example of what Geoffrey and the team were able to work on, like how they were able to answer those questions. But Geoffrey, you guys still have a few things to really change, so you can still go back and make the changes. Any question? Alan says she didn't understand. You're saying you didn't understand what I said on capital markets. Let me look at capital markets. Okay.